Good afternoon. This is Corby with the National Weather Service for your planning briefing on December 19th, 2019. Here's a little image from our Twitter feed one of our forecasters took earlier this afternoon. On the computer screen, we're watching model depictions of precipitation while also looking at model depictions of the moisture that's coming in off the Pacific and comparing that to the satellite data. Just a little nerdy thing that we're doing. Kind of cool to see the heavy precipitation, the heavy and intense moisture that's moving in onshore. Here's a summary of what to expect over the next couple of days. Light snow in many places has already begun, though it's probably tapering off as we've had the first light wave of precip move through. Heavy snow still on tap for northwest Montana tonight through Friday, with rising snow levels throughout the morning and then especially the afternoon. We expect valley freezing rain and rain to be possible. That transition will probably be a couple of hours of freezing rain that then goes to rain as the temperature warms. Snow throughout the weekend in the mountains of northwest Montana, and then returns to the valleys by the end of the weekend or early next week. Current satellite view shows that deep fetch of subtropical moisture all the way back to the west of Hawaii, which is really impressive. Out here towards Midway Island, we're getting this fetch of moisture that's feeding into the jet stream and getting onshore. Call it, an atmospheric river. I like the Pineapple Express, a little bit more of a term you hear. Here's the current radar image. And you can see these light showers that are moving into northwest Montana. Some of these showers are still moving over west central Montana. The bulk of the precipitation's coming onshore. You can see this coming up the Columbia River Valley and heading towards Pendleton and then up towards Spokane. This is the first wave of moisture with the rest of this coming in behind it. This first wave actually might move over the Missoula Bitterroot Valley. With the Missoula Valley staying inverted, we could see this evening, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, some light snow, perhaps even maybe some light freezing drizzle could be possible for a time. Same thing for the southern Mission Valley. Just depends on if the cold temperature inversions hold in place elsewhere, especially working back towards the Idaho border and into north central Idaho. We anticipate snow until the warmer air gets there overnight and transition occurs. So here's the storm total snowfall. Now, some of these numbers have changed. Don't worry. The overall picture of the storm hasn't really changed a lot. The 2 inches in Yaak is a lot lower than what was previously in the forecast for this time frame, but honestly, that could end up being 4 inches. It could end up being a little bit more than 4 inches. So this might be on the lower end of things, but it's all complicated by this warm air that's pushing in. If the warm air gets here fast enough, then most likely these are our snow amounts. If the warm air delays, we could find ourselves with a little bit more snow. But overall, the mountain snowfall, 6 inches Lolo Pass, 17 at Lookout Pass, those are pretty much on track with what we've been expecting. And those are expected to occur starting pretty much now and going through tomorrow morning. This is tomorrow afternoon. You can see as the warmer air is definitely in place, it's forcing the snow into the higher terrain, and it's kind of the cabinets, and then way up in the far northwest corner of the state, those are the mountains that are more favored, along with the Continental Divide. Not a lot of road travel impacted by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon. Lookout Pass, here's the point forecast for that. Now, you notice the snow kind of shuts off by 5 a.m., but I honestly think we might linger a little bit longer. This could linger into mid-morning tomorrow, and that's why that 17 inches might be the best part forecast. Seems like a foot, count on 17 high end. Looking over at the Yaak, there's 1.5 to 2 inches here, and you can see that temperature after midnight stays below freezing. And as long as that temperature forecast is true, we'll probably still be getting snow, though it's going to get heavier, it's going to get wetter, and it's going to get harder to accumulate. It's going to get more compacted. So even though it might have turned into another 2 or 3 or 4 inches of snow, it might just compact enough that and continue to melt as it's falling and the temperature starts to warm. So this is a really complex forecast that you want to keep updated on. Olney's got a specific geography, being a little bit higher elevation in its location, that it might be a bit more favored, especially after midnight when the bulk of that moisture rises over this area and the cold air that's left. But after things transition, which right now we're forecasting for tomorrow morning, that's when we'll turn it over into rain. Could be freezing rain for a period of time. That's pretty common under this typical pattern, the typical transition goes from snow to a sleety freezing rain mixture and then over to all rain as the temperature continues to warm, especially after sunrise. Lolo Pass, you can kind of see as the moisture drifts north, the snow amounts drop off. And so by the time we get to tomorrow morning, it's really going to be trace amounts of snow just because the moisture is really shut off. So the bulk of the snow for Lolo Pass is going to fall this evening, and in the early overnight hours, I would suspect that the most of the snow will be done, or at least tapering off by about 3 or 4 in the morning. That was a quick look at some specifics. If we didn't cover something that you're interested in or need more details about, give us a call. The number will be at the end of the presentation. After we get through the weekend, there's a weak wave that moves through on Monday, and that's causing us a little forecast uncertainty, so you want to stay tuned. It could produce light snow, maybe a couple of inches. Locations are still really questionable, though it could be fairly widespread light snow event. So we'll keep on looking at that and give you some more details as we figure it out. After that, we're entering the weather doldrums, as I call it, with below normal precipitation favored. You can see that the jet stream is heading south, inferred by this graphic, with higher than normal chances for precipitation across the desert southwest and into the lower Midwest and Texas. And then the temperature trend, with the jet moving farther to the south, heading down to Mexico for Christmas. It looks like below normal temperatures are favored along the coast, and that probably will extend even farther inward as time goes on and confidence is gained. This is a very decent pattern, especially if we're able to get some clearing for us to get some cold temperatures here in the Northern Rockies. Here's the threat matrix, keeping it on the high for northwest Montana, with a moderate for west central Montana and a low for north central Idaho. You can see the impacts drop off as the precipitation rate starts to decrease, though I will say the far northwest corner up towards the Yaak could stay in snow longer into Saturday, and hence the continued moderate impacts for the northwest Montana area. Sunday probably could end up being a fairly decent day if Monday's wave is really on Monday. It's causing us a lot of challenges with forecasting it. So stay tuned on that. Sunday could end up being fully in the green for most all areas. Monday right now we're covering it fairly broad brushed, but keep on the lookout. We've got a light snow pattern setting up that could drop a few inches of snow, fairly widespread, and then starts the doldrums thereafter for the Christmas holiday. Like I said, give us a call if you've got any questions or need some specifics. That's our phone number right there, 406-329-4840. Also encourage you to follow us on our social media, particularly on Twitter. We really enjoy interacting with everybody on our social media feeds, but it's also a great way for us to push immediate and necessary information that might not be a warning or some type of highlight product, but something that could be helpful to people as they make their decisions and work towards a safer day. Anyway, that's the general briefing for the day. Like I said, give us a call if you need more details. Until then, I say have a great weekend and a Merry Christmas.